Now to agenda item number 15, which is departing from our investment policy. And I think Mr. Manhenna, or is he? No. Okay, Mr. Manhenna, our financial controller, will address us, please.
The $20 million bond that we had invested with the ANZ was previously rated A-, which is the minimum we could go to as far as our treasury management policy. The bank has offered to roll this particular investment at about 2% over the swap rate, which is better than we can get in the marketplace at the moment. Standard & Poor's have rated it BBB+, which puts it slightly outside our treasury management policy, even though the ANZ Bank itself is AA-. So we are seeking a resolution to approve the breach per se of the treasury management policy in respect to this investment.
So Mr. Manhenna, if we didn't approve that, what interest rate, I see here you're estimating to do it this way, that the interest rate would be 5.5 returned to us?
Yes.
So if we had to adhere to our investment policy, what rate could you get for us?
The problem we've got in the market at the moment is the lack of corporate paper to invest into. So we would probably have to lock it into just a normal bank term deposit, and that'd be 4 point something.
So we're probably looking at 4.5 as opposed to 5.5.
Yeah.
So 1%
you're talking about
on 20 million.
Yeah, 200,000 a year difference.
Yeah, no, I can work it out. I just wanted to be clear. Yeah, I'm borrowing from myself at the moment. I'm fully well aware. Councillor Anderson.
Could you just explain a bit more? Could you just explain a bit more of the risk around the triple B rate?
Well, basically, the ANZ is going to default, or it doesn't default, and I don't think it can wear the risk of defaulting over a bond placement of about 800 million because its reputation just goes straight out the window. So as far as people are concerned, it's the ANZ. This is just a funding tool within the ANZ Treasury.
So, oh sorry, finish. So, hang on, sorry, Councillor, I didn't see your hand. So, it's just come off and ended an investment period, hasn't it?
Yes, there was two of them. The ANZ and the BNZ both had a bond, 5-year bond placement that has matured. The BNZ has decided not to roll it. They're cashing it up, and the market's actually been quite surprised that the ANZ has decided to roll it, because in theory they can fund it cheaper by other means.
So my actual question was, or is, so okay, this looks like on the face of it, on the surface makes sense, but how much was it invested for? Because we've come to the end of an investment term. This is
it was a 5-year 9.66%.
So on 20 million, and that's the market forces.
Yeah.
We've gone from that very cleverly structured. I remember it happening earlier in my term as the mayor, when you got that 9.65 years. I thought that was actually heroic at the time, because the whole thing was going like that. But here we are at that, and this is the best we can do. So, Councillor Williams, you had your hand up.
Oh yeah, well, obviously 200,000 is worth thinking about, but I'd just like to ask Mr. Manhenna, you know, the actual risk is that it's whether or not the ANZ is, you know, is a robust bank, isn't it? Because it's only if anything happened to the ANZ that subordinated bonds would be probably at the bottom of the heap when it came to making good creditors. Is that correct?
That's correct. And as far as the Australasian banking scene is concerned, yeah, your guess is as good as mine. So, but I'd rather be in the Australasian banking scene than the European banking scene.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Anderson.
I'd just like to move the resolution.
Cool, I'll accept that as move on. Just one thing, I want another question for Mr. Manhenna, so we have. So a lot of people in the public are saying, reduce debt, reduce debt, reduce debt. We hear that all the time. What are we paying for our debt? What interest rate?
It varies. We are currently up around the 6 on average, but some of our rollovers we're getting a lot lower. This is because of the swaps, the interest rate swaps we've got covering our debt. Because,
well, is it, my question, is this prudent to reinvest this in an ANZ bank on a triple B, or should we reduce debt that we're paying the same interest rate on?
That's quite a serious question for council, because this is TEL money, and the question is, are you going to change the whole investment direction of the TEL fund and use it for debt reduction rather than investment? Because once you start using it for debt reduction, you might as well say goodbye to it. Because you're not going to raise 20 million in future by debt to invest. So once you start using your investment funds of the TEL to reduce debt, you are saying we are doing away with the TEL fund.
Would it be fair to say the advice that I've had in the future, and I'm just asking you if it coincides with the advice you've been getting, are the banks telling you that over the next year they think interest rates will rise? Because that's what I've been told. So not prudent to reduce debt?
Well, we've got a ceiling on our cost of debt.
Okay. Well, I've got a mover, we have a mover, Councillor Henderson, so if nobody else wishes to comment at all,
Can I just make
Councillor?
one question? So we're rolling for how long for these?
It's a 5-year roll, but depending on the way that the market goes, if there are some other investment opportunities, we might exit on the secondary market at some stage.
Because it would seem if, with the reduction of rising interest rates to roll out for 5 years, might be better to roll it too.
Well, we can't, because the product itself is a 5-year product. What we can do, as I say, is sell it on the secondary market.
And on the other question with regards to the TEL fund, it's not like there's any difficulty in raising capital with all the non-core assets we've got with regards to the land. So, now, I mean, we've always had the arbitrage, but now we're losing the magnificent 9.66 to go to 5.5. We could, maybe it's time for us to reconsider.
Well, I think that is an annual plan issue, because we would have to go out for consultation, because it's a significant change in our treasury management policy. So that's something that council needs to consider going forward.
But bearing in mind those policies were set back in the days when I first came into council, we were getting 9 and 10% return. Now we're down at a 5.5% return, and we're looking at borrowing interest rates maybe going up a bit. Maybe it is prudent to be looking at financial policy at the moment, because it sort of starts to balance the boat a bit, doesn't it?
Well,
We're meant to be an agile council, aren't we? So we don't necessarily have to wait for the annual plan.
the treasury management policy sets the investment strategy for the funds as to what percentage range can be invested in different products, etc., and a expected return. And as I said, we do have a ceiling on our interest rates on borrowing, and we are, with our Standard & Poor's rating, actually raising funds cheaper than what we'd originally budgeted for. When you look at the financials, that our finance costs are less than budget, and that's showing through as a result of our Standard & Poor's rating. So it is quite a significant decision to make to use the TEL fund to reduce debt.
I think Mr. Williams, what he's just whispered to me makes sense, and I'll just get you to repeat that to everybody in the room, because there are public interested and media in the room interested in what you've just said. And when you extrapolate this through, if you're just quite open and honest about it, that's probably not the right words, but when you take 20 million at 9.6 and reinvestment at 5.5, you're around about 800,000 minus in income, aren't you? So, we need to really carefully look at this as best we can. But if we want to move away from where you are here to where some of us are thinking, that would cause what I certainly don't want to go. So you explain.
It's an important discussion to have, and we need to continue to have it, which is why we have the Treasury Management reports on the Council agenda. But if we were to change the Treasury Management policy, it would be an amendment to the long-term plan, so that would be a full Audit New Zealand involvement in an amendment to the long-term plan. So that would be a process that we would need to enter, and it's not something we could do right at the moment. It would probably be next year's annual plan when we could do that, but important to examine the Treasury management reports each month to see how we're going in the interim.
And
Okay, cool.
to
So I
add,
think-
and to add to that, we have been expecting this. It's slightly better than we thought would be, and that has been taken into account in the 13-14 draft annual plan, which is out in the marketplace.
It's allowed for,
It's allowed for
that slippage in interest, yeah. Okay, cool.
On
Well,
that basis, I'm happy to second.
Cool, so we had Councillor Henderson was moved, Councillor Williams was seconded the resolution that we approve an exception to 2.63 of the investment policy with respect to counterparty risk, allowing it to continue to hold $20 million of the ANZ perpetual callable subordinate bonds. Moved Councillor Henderson, seconded Councillor Williams, all in favour, say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Item number 16, development contributions review. This is really just a discussion as to what is coming. Mr. Williams, do you want to add to this, or you've got this?
Questions?
So really, it's just to bring.
Oh, sorry, it was here.
He's not there.
Sorry,
thanks, George.
Sorry,
Stand up for a while.
was an empty seat. You put it popped up. Yeah.
So just really to bring to Council's attention the fact that as part of the Better Local Government review being done by National Government, one of the areas that they're looking at is development contributions. So obviously, should some of the changes go ahead, it's quite a significant risk to Council in terms of one of our major funding sources to pay for growth rate of capital infrastructure. So Council officers have prepared a submission, which is attached as part of the agenda item, really just going through each of those options and putting it in some local context in terms of the Taupo District. It's not quite as bad as what the National Government are pushing in terms of development contributions, and I guess as us as a local council, how we deal with our developers, we see it as being pretty successful to this point. So really the resolution today is just to make you aware of it and also to get support on in terms of the submission that was made.
Okay, well, I think you should be very conscious of the fact, I think it was our Prime Minister said that he thought the development contributions charged by councils were unfair and too big, but I don't see where else you can get development unless you charge the ratepayer, so we really need to pay attention to this one as it comes down the track towards us. Councillor Henderson?
Yeah, just to add to that, Prime Minister also commented in the State of Nation speech that councils are allowed to charge whatever they like for development contributions, which they're not. So I'd just like to point out that that was what was said. Yeah, exactly. And I'd also like to point out too, pick up on something here on page 16-4 under option 3. Development contributions should reflect the true cost of development, and compulsory discounting will shift this cost onto other developers or the community. This does not add to transparency or equity. I'd support that, and I think it's also out of alignment with the approach to many things, which is all about user pays. So I'm not sure how this fits in this regard.
Yeah, I think this needs a lot of attention going forward. It'll make or break the development of many towns, including ours, and how we pay for infrastructure. So, yep, okay, so it's just, this is just a suggested resolution, it's just that we endorse the submission made by council officers on the development contributions review discussion paper. So I'll ask for a mover, please. Move, Councillor Johnson, second anywhere, Councillor Downer, all those in favour? Aye. Aye, aye, carried, against? Carried, sorry. Carried goes after you, again, sorry. Is all councillors been good with this? I was giving this a long time ago. Agenda item number 17, and you got this handout. I got one a couple of weeks ago. Did they get it a couple of weeks ago? Oh, you only got a week. Okay, I've had it for a couple of weeks. It's a peer review about the Three Waters activity. If you actually read it, basically, if you read it, I would have to be the first to congratulate Mr. Williams and the staff of TDC, because the peer review is basically a very good review. The Three Waters are in a very good place in the Taupo District. So, yeah, as that we received the report, that's what the suggested resolution is, but I would take time to tell Mr. Williams and his staff, particularly the people that have been at the coalface of it, that I think they've done a marvellous job, and they've certainly received a damn good report card.
Could I just add a bit to
You may,
that,
sir.
Councillor?
You may.
The report was commissioned for two purposes really. The first purpose was as just a routine audit of our operations, as every so often you check on what you're doing and you get some independent assessment that you're doing the right sorts of things. So from an operational perspective, I wanted external advice to just clarify that we were in the right space. The second reason is that more globally, more nationally, local government generally has been a bit challenged from central government, particularly the infrastructure office, with regards to the way it performs its infrastructural services. And the Three Waters has been highlighted as one area that local government performs very badly in. That resulted in a report for Treasury in about 2011 that suggested that local governments are quite poor in certain areas of their Three Waters activity. That report was produced by PricewaterhouseCoopers, so I believe that for us as a group, as a team working together, that to employ PricewaterhouseCoopers to give confirmation to the direction that you've taken as elected members, because you took some key decisions during the long-term planning process with regards water, and I felt that it was prudent to get the likes of PricewaterhouseCoopers, who've been involved with the central government report, to take a very close look at what we do and give you as elected members a defendable position for the decisions that you've taken. And the report quite clearly comes back and says that the council has made good decisions in regard to its Three Waters activity. So that was another reason why the report was commissioned.
Okay, Councillor Williams.
So, Mr. Williams, will this report assist you if you want to benchmark, for instance, with the new, with the regional initiative, the whakaaro? Will you be able to use this document for those purposes if you want to share information, or whether you want to benchmark, obviously?
Through the Chair, there's also a number of different work streams going on in the waters area, both nationally and locally, or regionally. And it's interesting to note that many changes have been promoted in the water area, but very little information is actually known about how local government performs in this area. When Solgum, who were involved with one of the national reviews, and forgive me, I can't remember what the review is, but I think it's like one of the productivity reviews associated with the local water, the Land and Water Forum, they were very keen to get their hands on this report, because it's actually one of only a very few pieces of information that they can actually look to give them robust analysis of the water activities for local government. So we've given them an advanced copy, and the reason for putting it on the council agenda was so that PricewaterhouseCoopers could actually go back to Treasury with the report as a public document and point out where Taupo is doing well and give them more robust information about the local government sector too. So it will be used more extensively than locally.
I wonder if they might give us a bit of fee consideration on that, because no doubt for a small council to have a report done like this was quite significant, was it?
It wasn't out of line with what I would normally do for auditing my organisation operations at times. I would only do something like this every 3 to 5 years, so it's not out of line with what one would normally spend in that area.
So what would that be?
It was less than $50,000.
Including or plus? Don't answer that. Councillor Henderson.
I'd like to move the resolution, please.
Cool. And I don't normally do it, but I would actually like to second it. But in seconding the resolution, I also want, because this was recorded and noted, that I actually know that a lot of the governance decisions that were made for these three waters actually came from the last triennium, and I don't want to take everything away from some of those members. It's been a 6-year process, 3 trienniums, this governance side of the three waters, so congratulations to all and everybody, and in particular staff for carrying it out. So I'm seconding that. All in favour?
Aye.
And any against? There being none, carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 18, council delegations with regards to the Resource Management Act. The Group Manager Finance Regulating Infrastructure is authorised to jointly and severally exercise the powers of council under the Resource Management Act. This seems to me to be a very mechanical item, but does anybody want to ask or second or move it or leave me here, please? Councillor Downard is moving it. Councillor Ackling has seconded it. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. We now come to